What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at Charles Estridge. His name was Larry Estridge. They called him the Black Stanley Ketchel. Born June 17, 1902, St. Kitts, British West Indies. He died September 1987 in the Bronx, New York. Stood 5'9" and weighed 150 to 162 and a quarter pounds. Had a fighting career record. 67 total bouts, 53 wins, 14 losses, and 33 explosive knockouts. Now, Larry Estridge was once called the long-handed fighter by sports writer Paul Gallagher. You see, Larry Estridge was a southpaw, and he was a modern-day Marvin Hagler. Stood 5'9", southpaw. He was a black fighter. He was a middleweight. The difference between Larry Estridge and Marvin Hagler was Larry Estridge could punch like a Mills kick. He was phenomenal with that punching power. In 1907, Larry's mother, Rebecca Estridge, would arrive in New York from St. Croix, leaving 2 sons and 1 daughter behind. She would drop them off in Bermuda in pursuit of a better life for her fatherless children. Rebecca would send for her children just 3 weeks after finding a well-paying job, and she found a very, very nice apartment in Harlem. Larry's 6-year-old sister and baby sister Julia was just 5 years old. And Larry had a 6 months school education. Before going to work as a mechanic apprentice, he was somewhat of a lazy young man, but began fighting his career with all his might. You see, he had to help take care of his sisters and do a paper route. And he would train to fight at the same time. And he would begin training to fight after defending a paper route that he once had on the local corner. 1920, Larry would be done with the auto mechanics industry. He would be sent off to war. But when he came back in 1919, he would marry and create a family of his own, Lillian and Charles Jr., while working at a Carroll and Reed Company. Now, Charles would join the Christopher Club Amateur Athletic Club, trained by Eddie Dorsey. And Larry Estridge would become a fine fighter in the boxing community. Learned his career in the Army, but he mastered it in the gym. Larry has become a fine middleweight. He would walk around at an average weight of 150 pounds, winning the AAU Nationals. And he would be the only fighter out of 3 in the black community to win the AAU Middleweight Championships before Harlem's Thunderbolt, Harry Smith. Now, as an amateur, 1922, February 27th, Larry would knock out William Florentino in 4 rounds, New York. He would defeat Walter Murray, Homer Robinson, Sol Jacobs. May 24th, Private Otto Collin, New York, 12 seconds. It was a world record. It was for the Inner City 160-pound tournament, AAU Nationals, and the Journeyman Championship. He would win the AAU National Junior Championship over Bunny Finley. G.J. Kniss in New York. He would knock him out in 1 astonishing round. He would win a Metropolitan AAU Championship at 160 pounds, winning 3 rounds over Bunny Finley. He would knock out Howard Murphy. Phenomenal. Now, Larry would begin his professional career September 15th, 1922. It would be in New York against Kid Scroll. He would get him out of there in 1 round. Larry KO'd men such as Howard Murphy, Kid Jackson, Alex Kid Gibbons, Tony Jamison, Tiger Sam Broach, Joe Cavalier, and Jack Herbert. The 2-threat opponents for Larry at that time were Walter Gypsy, Allentown Joe Gans. Now, after his 19th professional fight, Larry would meet Allentown Joe Gans. It would be an 8-round no decision contest. It was well anticipated because Allentown Joe Gans would eventually become the colored middleweight champion. And the spectators couldn't believe that these two men would eventually meet, because Larry Estridge already developed a reputation in Harlem. And soon after that, he would have a man that would come right behind him. His name was the Harlem Thunderbolt, Harry Smith. You had Jack McVeigh, who had the color middleweight championship as well. So Larry Estridge was in very good company. But the biggest fight that was lined up for Larry Estridge would be Panama Joe Gans. He would lose 2 out of 17 fights, 1924. And he would face the very feared Panama Joe Gans twice, June 26 in New York. And he would win the colored middleweight championship belt, 8-round decision. Would face him again August 11th, Brooklyn, New York, 10 rounds, and defeat him again. And Harlem would explode. They would offer him a parade. He would be welcomed in all the nightclubs, take pictures with all the local merchants. He became a star. But in December 26, he would lose twice. 1 second round to the future light heavyweight champion, Paul Berlenbach. Berlenbach was 168 pounds. Larry Estridge was 154 pounds. Would have 16 fights in 1925. He would lose twice to Sergeant Sammy Baker, Brooklyn, New York, 12 rounds. 1 was controversial. And he would lose to Phil K.O. Kaplan, Cleveland, Ohio, on a 3rd round foul. And at this point, Larry Estridge basically lived a sporting life. And with that man at that time, he would wear 3-piece suits, fedora, he would have a cigar, shiny shoes, pocket watch, and he would want to be a superstar. Well respected in the neighborhood. He would offer his services of allowing his shoes to be shined, although they were already shiny, just to give a kid a quarter. He was some person, some fighter, some humanitarian, was Larry Estridge. And I just wanted to shine some light on the colored middleweight champion, Larry Estridge, right here on the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. As you can see, Larry Estridge is to your right. To your left, you have Canada Lee. Both men had worked with Harry Wiley Sr. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Hope you enjoyed the show. Peace.